everyone. My name is Movement, and today I'll be presenting my policy analysis on transit equity, focusing on Boston's Fairmount commuter rail line. This presentation is based on a policy memo that I prepared for the MBTA General Manager and the City of Boston's Transit Equity Office. The Fairmount line is a unique commuter rail route. Instead of serving suburban, affluent areas like most MBTA lines, it runs entirely within Boston and connects historically underserved neighborhoods like Mattapan, Dorchester, and Hyde Park. It was originally expanded as a deliberate effort to promote equity and mobility for low-income and minority communities. Despite these improvements over the last decade, including new stations, more frequent service, and lower fares, key questions remain. Has the Fairmount line truly advanced transit equity? And are low-income communities benefiting in the way policymakers envisioned? The core issue behind the Fairmount line is transit equity. Whether Boston's historically marginalized communities are receiving fair access to reliable and affordable public transportation. Neighborhoods like Mattapan, Dorchester, and Hyde Park were intentionally left out of Boston's road system for decades. The Fairmount line's expansion between 2012 and 2019 was meant to reverse this by building new stations and improving service in areas with high poverty rates, low car ownership, and majority Black and immigrant populations. From this equity-focused perspective, the problem isn't just about transit service. It's about repairing a long history of racial and economic exclusion. Planners and advocates argue that access to transportation is access to opportunity. So the line's success should be measured by how well it serves the people who were left out, not just how many people ride it. But there's a competing view, especially from fiscal watchdogs and some MBTA officials who define the problem as one of cost efficiency. Even after improvements, the Fairmount line has lower ridership compared to the other lines. From this perspective, investing more money in a low-performing route isn't seen as sustainable, especially when the MBTA is facing a budget deficit. These two definitions are at odds. One sees the line as a justice-driven investment in historically neglected communities, and the other sees it as a financial burden. And ultimately, which narrative wins will shape whether the Fairmount line remains a symbol of equity or becomes another broken promise. To address the ongoing equity concerns on the Fairmount line, I evaluated 4 policy options, each with distinct benefits, challenges, and implications for low-income riders and MBTA operations. For the first policy option, we could continue without action. This option would keep things as they are, no new service and no new investments. On paper, it's the most budget-friendly. There are no new costs, no political hurdles, and it avoids operational complexity. But that's where the benefits end. Maintaining the status quo ignores the original intent behind the Fairmount line's expansion, which is repairing decades of underinvestment in marginalized communities. If we don't take action now, we risk undoing the progress made and allowing the line to drift further from its goal as an equity corridor. Doing nothing may be administratively easy, but it comes at a social cost of reinforcing systemic transit exclusion. For option 2, we could expand service frequency. This option proposes running more trains, both during rush hour and throughout the day, to make the line a more reliable and viable alternative to driving. Greater frequency could transform the line from a limited-use commuter rail into something that resembles rapid transit, especially for those without cars. This would improve accessibility and reduce wait times, making public transit more attractive for low-income residents. However, the trade-offs are significant. Right now, much of the Fairmount line runs on a single track. Running more trains would require major infrastructure upgrades, including double tracking and new signaling systems. These improvements could cost between $100 and $300 million and would likely cause service disruptions through construction. While the long-term payoff is high, the short-term challenges, financial and logistical, make this a difficult option to implement quickly. Option 3 recommends adding a 1-year fare-free pilot program. This option would eliminate fares on the Fairmount line for 1 year, building on Mayor Wu's existing fare-free bus pilots. It directly addresses affordability, a major barrier for low-income riders, and creates a real opportunity to gather equity-focused data. When Boston piloted free fares on bus routes 23, 28, and 29, ridership jumped and satisfaction increased. A similar result could happen on the Fairmount line, especially since many of its users come from neighborhoods with lower median incomes and high transit dependency. The biggest concern here is sustainability. Fare revenue helps fund MBTA operations, and removing it even temporarily raises questions about how the lost income will be replaced. Still, if city or state subsidies or even federal equity grants are used to fund the pilot, this policy could be both feasible and transformative in the short term. Option 4 recommends improving station access. This option focuses on first and last mile connections, investing in infrastructure like bike share docks, shuttle services, and safer sidewalks to help people get to and from Fairmount stations. For residents who live far from a station and don't own cars, these improvements could make a huge difference. Neighborhoods like Mattapan, Bodo, and Geneva are especially in need of these upgrades, given their poor bike infrastructure and low sidewalk coverage. The costs here are moderate and could be phased in over time. However, the main challenge is coordination. The MBTA, City of Boston, Blue Bikes, and private vendors would all need to work together, and as we know, cross-agency collaboration isn't smooth or fast. That said, this option has strong community support and complements any fare or service upgrade by making the system physically accessible. Together, these options highlight a range of choices, from doing nothing to implementing transformative change. Each has its own costs and benefits, but the key question is, which combination of affordability, accessibility, and feasibility best serve the people the Fairmount line was built for? Each option presents unique challenges. In terms of budgetary, the MBTA is already facing an operating deficit. Options 2 and 3 require significant financial support, while option 4 can be phased in, making it more flexible. In terms of technical challenges, option 2 requires physical infrastructure upgrades. Option 4 may face limitations like sidewalk conditions or right-of-way issues for shuttles and bike lanes. In terms of institutional concerns, coordination across city departments, transit authorities, and vendors can delay implementation, especially for option 4. In terms of political challenges, fare-free policies are popular with riders but face resistance from fiscal watchdogs. If equity programs are judged by ridership alone, they risk being cut. Evaluation is also a challenge. Currently, the MBTA lacks disaggregated ridership data post-COVID. To measure impact, we need better metrics like commute time by income and race or mode shifts after fare changes. My recommendation is a hybrid approach. Pilot a 1-year fare-free program on the Fairmount line, paired with targeted investments in first and last mile access, such as bike docks and neighborhood shuttles. This strategy directly tackles the two biggest barriers, affordability and physical access. It's equity-focused, data-generating, and politically aligned with the city's current transit priorities. While fare loss is a concern, it can be mitigated through federal equity grants or temporary ARPA funding. To avoid stagnation, the pilot must include clear benchmarks for ridership growth and community feedback. If successful, we can justify a long-term transition to permanently free or reduced fares, fulfilling the Fairmount line's original promise as a corridor of justice. In conclusion, this is not just a conversation about trains. It's about who we choose to connect or disconnect entire communities. By investing in equitable transit solutions now, we can ensure Boston's future is one of access, opportunity, and shared mobility. Thank you.